A note before we begin. Today's program contains topics which may be emotionally challenging, including a discussion of violence against women and sexual assault. We focus on the survivor's experience and urge you to know that if you have experienced trauma related to sexual violence, that you are not alone. We will share links to resources in the program notes of this episode. Today on Bearing Scars, we all have secrets, even those who you least expect.
And nobody knows about it. Like no one. I am constantly in angst about someone finding out.
For the first time ever, Navy veteran and president of the Chamber of Commerce, Bridget Lake, reveals hers.
PCP took me down in 6 months. I mean, I was really just trying to slowly kill myself.
Until one night, on the streets of downtown Chicago, her addiction had a disastrous and deadly impact.
I ended up in the hospital, cuffed to a bed. They said, "Do you even know why you're here?" The officer in the room. And he threw the Chicago Tribune on me. And I'm like, first page. Kills 2-month-old baby boy. Prison makes you hard. I needed to change. It's gotta change. There's no way or I'm dead.
Bridget vowed to rebuild her life, give back to her community, and redefine her legacy.
And I was so grateful. They changed my life. You never fail until you stop trying.
Inside and out, everyone you know has got 'em. Your mom and dad and all your friends. Enjoy your scars, scars, scars. Enjoy your scars.
Welcome to this edition of Bearing Scars. I'm your host, Michael Ertel. Bearing Scars is more than a podcast. We're having raw discussions with those who have gone from prison to prominence, from debilitating addiction to public adoration, from youthful indiscretion to business dominance, and from career-ending scandal to a redefining of their life's work. Today our guest is Bridget Lake. You may know Bridget as somebody who is out in the community throughout the southeastern United States, helping veterans to receive the care that they have earned. You may also know her from her previous position, where for more than 10 years she worked at the Oviedo Winter Springs Chamber of Commerce, which was the Chamber of Commerce directly next to the second largest university in the United States, the University of Central Florida. Bridget's career at the Chamber was an award-winning one. The Oviedo Winter Springs Chamber, while she was the president, won many awards, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But Bridget's more than just the Chamber president you knew. She's more than just the Navy veteran that you knew. She's more than just her current career, which is helping veterans to receive the benefits that they deserve. Bridget Lake's been through a lot in her life, and she wants to guide you into learning through her mistakes so you don't make the same mistakes, and learning through her victories so you can learn from those. Bridget Lake, welcome to Bearing Scars.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
We start every single episode by talking to our guest, and really the best way to find out about a guest is ask them what they wanted to be when they grew up. So when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I was not like other kids, so I never really had that destiny of, oh, I want to be a doctor or a firefighter or a school teacher or anything like that. My favorite thing was National Geographic magazine and the amazing photos that they took. So my dream job at that time was photographer for National Geographic.
And so you wanted to be a photographer, but like when you were a kid, like 7 years old, you weren't like, I want to do this when I grow up.
I had no idea. I was not. I was one of those kids that my parents were frustrated with because I don't just want to do gymnastics, then I want to do jazz, then I want to do piano, then I want to do this. And they're like, you got to stick to something, girlfriend. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know. Just got to figure it all out. So I never knew.
You didn't have focus. Is it because you wanted to travel or because you wanted to take the photo?
So both.
Mm-hmm.
One, I would love just being out in nature alone and connecting in that way. Mm-hmm. Another thing is I got all of my courses out freshman, sophomore, junior. As soon as I got to my senior year, I had like 3 art classes.
Oh,
like
wow.
I was in the dark room all the time. I was like not participating in many things except for gym class, because you had to do that, and English class, which was 4 years.
What was it that cycled over, okay, you're clearly not going to be a National Geographic photographer, but maybe I can travel? Is that what drove you to joining the Navy?
That was a definite huge key factor for me. My dad was a Marine and had a clear conversation with me. You will not be a Marine. And then it was really between the Air Force and the Navy. And the Navy just got to me quicker. And they were like, you can do anything but be a nuke. And I was like, okay, cool. The doors of opportunity are here for me. And I was young when I decided. Like, my parents wouldn't sign me away at 17. My mother wouldn't. My dad was like, let the girl go, right. Probably.
And you grew up in, like, outside of Chicago, right?
Yeah. So I grew up in Schaumburg. I went to Schaumburg High School. I knew at 17, basically 16, I was going into the military. And I was going to explore the world and do all the fun stuff and have a career that was attainable even after the military. So when they said, hey, we offer you the boiler room technician. And I'm like, I'm going to stay away from that one. They're like, or you could be an aviation electronics technician. I'm like, boom.
And so what is an aviation electronics technician in the Navy? What were you doing?
There is I-level and there's O-level. So O-level is actually working on the aircraft. We are the box swappers. We're the wire chasers in the aircraft. We're the backseat components of the F-14. So radar, missile systems, communication systems, all of that. It was just a badass job. The thing that I miss the most is working that flight deck. I loved the adrenaline. I loved the feeling of the F-14s just rumbling the whole deck when they were in afterburner. I miss the shit out of that. Like, you can't replace it. There's nothing here on Earth that can replace being on a carrier.
What percentage of your cohorts were women that had the same job as you?
Well, I did have one other woman in the shop. So out of 35 or 40, there was actually 2 of us for a little bit of time.
And how was that? I mean, how difficult was that being one of the only women there? Were you treated differently? Did you find yourself having to do more than you thought you would normally have to do because?
I will still say that the women's experience in the military is different, vastly different than a male's experience in the military. And probably true to this day. I mean, I was in 30 years ago, but honestly, it's always been, there were 5 women on that flight deck. I was one of 5. There were 300 women on the ship. There's 5,000 men. It's definitely different. I tell this story. I had a guy lean against the jet and be like, how you doing? And I'm like, fucking working. Like, do you want to grab a 40-pound part from me and just like, get over yourself?
Did you find that you had to do more? That you had to do more?
I held my own, which is probably why I had so many back issues.
Right.
I mean, I've had it where they're about to land and nobody else is around me, and I'm literally a 180-pound part that weighs more than me, and I'm shifting it 2 inches at a time to get it off the flight line.
That's your job. How long were you in the Navy, and what precipitated you're deciding, you know what, I think I'm done with the Navy?
So, the Navy was, gosh, it was rough. It was rough in the fact that when I was in A school,
What's A school?
So you go to boot camp, and then you go to A school for training, and then you go to C school maybe even after that, and then you go to your squadron. So when I was in A school, I had been almost strangled to death by another sailor, and it popped all the blood vessels in my eyeballs, like had bruises all like on my throat.
And it was an assault?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
We were just in an argument. Like, we were at this party. We were all having some drinks. I was actually sick, so I really just wanted to stop by and be like, hey, listen, you still owe me $50. You know what I mean? Like, it was a simple argument over $50, and I'm about to get flashes in front of me thinking my parents are going to find me dead in a fucking hallway. Like, this, it was insane. Like, it really does. Like, things just flash kind of in front of your head. Like, if I don't get out of this, I'm dead. I'm not going to make it. And this asshole did it? Like.
And what'd you do?
I pretended it didn't happen. I went to school the next day, and the instructors pulled me over and said, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Because they could tell based on how you were acting that day and what was...
I had every blood vessel in my eye was popped. It looked like I had red eyes.
The physical look, not just the emotional, where they could see that you were acting different or anything.
Right.
It was, wow.
Physically in ranks, they're like, "You go step over there. We're going to talk to you." So I had told him what happened. The guy got arrested. And from then, there was never anybody after that who said, "Hey, do you need counseling? Do you need help? Do you need someone to talk to? There's nothing."
Mm-hmm.
So my way of coping was basically going back to the dorm room and crying, like just getting into this insane depression because you don't have the support. Like, I called my parents and they're like, "There's nothing we can do. We can't come visit you. We're working," and it's true. Like, people have their lives, and I was just stuck in this fucking hole. And they said, "Well, you can either take the orders that we assigned you," they said, "or you could sit here and you could fight this case." Think about that. Think about how long an attempted murder case takes.
You could move forward.
Yes.
Or continue to focus on the past.
Yes. For a long time. For a long time. So I said, I need to move on. I didn't have enough support or the right people around me to want to deal with that. And I wanted to be in the Navy, and I wanted to go do, F-14 stuff. And so there's just a lot to it that made sense for me to move on.
And nowadays, and we'll talk about this a little later on, but you're doing something to help people within that very situation. So there's a lot of things that took place in between this attack on you or the assault on you, the attack and the assault on you. And through it all, you are actually now helping folks in that very similar situation, men and women who are in similar situations or a situation like that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. You're a victim of an assault. And rather than stay a victim, you remember it. You're never going to forget it, but you move forward and you continue on with your training. What was the next step in the Navy?
I tried to move forward. Let's put it that way.
Right.
As you know, there are differences between men and women in our experiences. So when we got back from our 6-month cruise, instead of me staying in the AT shop, there were 4 airmen that would typically go to the line shack, get plane captain certified, and then go back to their shop. But they only sent the girl. They wanted to, again, it's like a test. Let's see if a woman can get through the line shack without going crazy or getting pregnant. For
some clarity, when you say cruise, you're not on an Azamara ship.
I was on the USS Roosevelt and the USS Enterprise.
And the line shack is...
They're the ones who do the maintenance on the aircraft, like the actual change, like the oil, the making sure the tires are good, all the basic stuff, making sure the screws are in, just the overall, anything that can make an F-14 go down, making sure that is all good.
Like all your
checks, all your checks are there. So, and it was interesting because I just had the guy who trained me, because when they heard a girl was coming to the line shack, there was a lot of banter, I would say.
Right.
And the
sailers, shockingly,
I know, right?
Sailors were,
Somebody got the short stick and had to train me. And he just sent me a message recently and said, I got the short stick, I drew it, but as soon as I worked with you and saw how capable you were, you made me, you made me really proud. And it was nothing to do about you being a woman, a man, or anything. Like, you nailed it. And to me, that meant so much. Like, I will never forget that, because it is so hard. And I did prove myself. I got done in zip point shit seconds. I was plane captain certified. Then I got number 1 airman in the squadron. And then people ruffled their feathers about that. So you really do get some backlash. Now, the next thing that happened was I woke up to my supervisor of the line shack sexually assaulting me. So that was When I say you try to forget things and you try to move on, here's another experience that, I was just a little bit too drunk in port, went to go sleep it off, and next thing you know, I've got him on me. So I pretended that didn't happen. But I did tell someone in the next shop who was he was PH1. I said...
And a PH1 is, I'm sorry?
A photographer first class. Said, I can't look at that guy's face. I need to be on the opposite shift as him or get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't do that. And he could tell because my voice was trembling, like something was wrong, but didn't really ask questions, which is probably better. So ended up, after that, he got me. I was a line shack supervisor for a little while as I was a E4, so a petty officer third class. And then he got me into the tactical air reconnaissance photography shop, which needed one AT to help with the electrical components of the TARPS pod.
And a TARPS pod is, because you're talking so much
right?
lingo here.
That's so tactical air reconnaissance photography. It's when digital imagery first came, and they put this pod there, and you could get digital imagery directly while they're taking the pictures. It's back on the boat.
Got it.
So they'd fly over certain areas, and they could see with that imagery. We still had 2 other cameras that were film, but that new digital one was really cool. It
was live. It was basically live connectivity between the plane and the ship.
Yep.
And this was in 1990, the late 90s, right?
7, 8, something in there.
So, as you're listening, think about the level of technology that was being dealt with at that time, considering what was available out there.
And I always say that's what's awesome about being in the military is you are such a young age and you are given so much responsibility. Mm-hmm. Like, they put stuff in your hands that are the newest, brightest, coolest things.
Did you ever find yourself with that responsibility not handling it well? Or how'd you handle the responsibility? Not the from one base you get assaulted, then you go on to a ship and you get assaulted. Not that responsibility issue, but the awesome responsibility of having to deal with just the mission itself.
I thrived.
Yeah.
I thrived. I may not have been the smartest AT in the shop, and I admit that. But I was the biggest hustler. Like, I loved it. I loved the adrenaline. I knew we had to get this bird up in the next 5 minutes. Like, let's do it. So I loved it.
And professionally, you're just kicking butt.
Yes.
What was it that caused you to say, you know what, I think I'm done with the Navy?
So I had some really bad back issues. It just wasn't getting better. I, was working on the flight deck still with the tactical air reconnaissance photography, but it wasn't the same as being an AT where you're actually up there, like, during everything. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot more shop time, and I don't like to sit around and just do nothing. So I decided it was time to get out, just because if I can't physically do the AT job, I don't see any other job around me that I want. I never regret going in, no matter what the shit that happened and there was. Like, I don't regret it. I recommend it to students still. I just don't usually tell them the shit show that I dealt with because, yes, it does happen. And if they want to pull me aside and really talk to me, I would tell them. But if it's just a general, where are you going with your life? This is a good opportunity. You get to travel. You get to meet so many different people. You just have brothers and sisters for the rest of your life. That component is just incredible. And now it's like every veteran you meet is your brother and sister. Mm-hmm. And it's just incredible.
And when you're talking to women, do you warn them? Do you say do you say to yourself, it was a different time, so I shouldn't try to dissuade them? How do you talk to women differently than men as you
I just them? Add a note and I go, now my experience was different than most people's experience. And if you want to hear more about that, I'll let you know. If they don't seem interested at all, then they're out. Mm-hmm. But if they go, oh, tell me more. And then I'll be like, well, there was sexual this, and there was almost being murdered. And like, how do you put that in like a simple story where you're just casually like, hey, by the way? But I also say it does still happen today, and it does. And that's not great. It happens to men. I've heard military sexual trauma from men where they have been, was that chloroform, where they just put him to sleep and he got raped by his roommate. I mean, there's shit that is insane that goes on that they try to cover up, or they don't, they just don't help you. They look at you crazy. I mean,
when you go into the military, you expect to have trauma, but you don't expect to have trauma in your military training school. You don't expect to have that trauma on the ship from your shipmates.
I expected, like you'd expect to hear some like trauma, like shit. I mean, there was a guy who got his legs rolled over by an F-14 on a no-fly day. That's not fun to watch. He's 20 years old. He no longer has legs. 17 hours of surgery. He's a new father. He gets to, unfortunately, go home, but he has no legs. I mean, there's so much. You'd expect that trauma. You'd expect, I'm going to see some shit that is, probably shouldn't be seen.
You get out of the Navy, you go back home to Chicago. What did you do? I mean, what was you moved back home with home and mom and dad, I'm assuming, or something like that?
No, I asked to get out 3 months early so that I could go to college right away in spring. And I was able to make that happen. So they let me out 3 months early. I got into college. I moved into Chicago. I loved the city. I was younger. But the mental health aspect had not been handled at all. So the word I use is I regressed. Mm-hmm. I was an adult. I was responsible. And I regressed into this child who had trauma and hurt and pain and just didn't know how to deal with it. So, unfortunately, I started using drugs and alcohol and, from one drug to the next, because I would basically try anything. I found PCP. And
what's PCP?
So, I got it on the West Coast. I don't know the ingredients. They're street drugs.
Right.
But it's like an embalming fluid also, where you just dip your cigarette in it and it wets it, and then you smoke it, and you're not in this fucking world anymore. You're gone. You're floating. You're zoned out. You're incapable of doing something, but your imagination is amazing.
And was it an escape?
Total escape. That's all I wanted to do. I mean, my brother had to hold me down one night so I wouldn't go get high.
And you're escaping into a world to forget what had happened previously, but you're in college. Are you doing okay in college?
I was at first. I was A's and B's until I started. Dude, PCP took me down in 6 months. It didn't take long at all. Let's just put it that way. I ended up getting D's. I always put it this way. Physics of everyday life, like how the bicycle wheel works, I got a D in that class.
Right.
Like, that's a problem.
Right.
That just shows you how not committed and how messed up my head was.
Because you were somebody, as a kid, you wanted to travel, you wanted to see the world. You joined the military, it allowed you to do just that. And then when you get finished with that, you go back into, quote, the real world, and you're realizing that you're still that kid who wanted to do things, but you cannot separate what happened to you with what you still wanted to do with your life.
Yes. And back then, there was no, again, 30 years ago, they didn't give you any information when you left. I just left. Just get out, start my life over.
How old are you at this point?
It's 22.
When we come back, we're going to talk with Bridget Lake about how she went from the highs professionally to probably one of the most devastating things that can happen to somebody in their life. We'll be right back with more with Bridget Lake.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. You can help by simply sharing your time, lending a warm smile, a supportive hand, or a sympathetic ear to someone who needs it. Everyone can do something to make veterans know just how much we appreciate their service. Please visit www.volunteer.va.gov. What will you do?
Scars, scars. Enjoy your scars.
We're back and we're speaking with Bridget Lake, and she's a professional now, highly regarded in her field of helping veterans to overcome mental and emotional stress in their lives. But it's not just in the military when she had stressful times. Post-military was not a good time for Bridget. How did you cope?
There are a lot of transition stories that I hear from veterans, and it's vastly different, and a lot of us back in the day, again, there's no manual of how to do it. There wasn't as much opportunity to connect with other veterans. I got out. I was going to school. I was using PCP. I was high as a kite. I ended up having, I was over at my brother's house, and I rented a vehicle because I had already totaled my own car on PCP. So that just shows you that
It was controlling you.
Yeah. And I should have gone to jail then, but the officer, while I was in the back seat, he got called to a robbery, and he goes, "You have someone to pick you up?" And I'm like, "Yes, just hand me my phone." And I went free.
And what year is this? This is the time frame we're talking.
So this is 2001.
Mm-hmm.
This is when I end up getting a rental car, getting high, and I was like, let me just take this last puff, and I'm just going to go drive down Lakeshore Drive. It's a beautiful night out. It's, June. It's gorgeous. And I ended up thinking that I was going to pass out, so I thought I hit the brakes and pulled over, but apparently I didn't, and I don't remember the rest of it. But I ended up getting off an exit on Michigan Avenue, and I was driving wildly, and I guess I ricocheted off of one car into a building, and on the sidewalk was a family, so a mother, a father, and a 2-month-old baby boy that they had in a stroller, and I hit them, and I don't remember it, but it sounds like a horror story when I hear what had happened from other people, or what I read in the newspapers about me. And I'm like, yeah, I could see me acting absolutely like a lunatic because I was high on PCP, and I don't recall it at all. So that was June 23rd, 2001. And I ended up in the hospital, cuffed to a bed. I woke up. I had no idea why I was there. And finally, after the third day, because they kept on giving me morphine because I had fractured my spine, they said, "Do you even know why you're here?" The officer in the room. I said, "No." And he threw the Chicago Tribune on me, and I'm like, first page of woman kills 2-month-old baby boy, And I've always heard about this, and I didn't know it was actually true, but people feel a weight. I felt like a 50-pound fucking weight sat on my chest, and I just cried. I mean, it was the most painful thing to learn that I did that. And I hurt not only that family, but so many people. Just when you think about it, the circumstances, my family, it was devastating. And so I ended up doing I was sentenced to 6 years. I did 5 years, 1 month, and 6 days in prison. I did the first year in Cook County Jail in Chicago, which is no joke. And I learned how to survive in prison, which is not easy. I got hit on by girls. I got almost into fights. I avoided them. Thank God I was a talker. Somehow I talked myself out of fights.
Right. So, as someone else who's dealt with trauma in his life, and it is nowhere near what you went through that night, you acknowledge, as everyone who is on this program, by the way, has acknowledged, that it is something that you caused. It's your fault. You're not blaming anybody. You're not blaming anything.
Yep.
This is something that happened. So because of that, in prison, you're laying back in bed thinking of the 5-year-old girl who didn't have a dream for her life, the teenage girl who did want to travel and was now stuck. When you go to bed at night in prison, what are you dreaming? What's in your head?
I had a lot of pain, so I would have nightmares. I also just wanted to have fresh air. I didn't have fresh air for like a year. I didn't smell fresh air. Like, it's pretty devastating when you think about it. But yeah, I knew that. I knew immediately, because I had so much guilt, that I needed to change. I needed to get out of there not being who I was. Like, it's got to change. There's no way, or I'm dead. And I wish, it was me that got killed in that accident. I mean, I was really just trying to slowly kill myself. So I was not in my life when I was on, PCP. I was high as I could not be happier than that. I mean, to me, after all that I've dealt with, I was like, this is my escape. This is my best friend.
And there's an adrenaline rush being on the ship, being on the ship there, and you talked about it. And as you're describing it, your face lights up with the glow of, we were doing these really cool things, and there's this adrenaline rush and adrenaline. And then after you get out of the Navy, because you've got these back issues that do not allow you to continue to do that adrenaline rush stuff there, you're trying to find, and again, not an excuse, but you're trying to find a way to have that. And
the more, and I go to therapy now for it, and I'm still trying to chug my way through that and figure it out. But I will say that the drugs was just an easy coping mechanism for me. And once I found the drug of choice, which wasn't cocaine that you're aware of shit. It wasn't, you know what I mean? It was nothing like that. It's this drug that takes you out of this fucking world. It's something that you are not even in your body anymore. And that's what I needed.
Adrenaline. You're in prison. There's the adrenaline of trying to survive.
Yeah.
Because you're not in a country club prison.
No.
How do you protect yourself while you're in there? Because, I mean, for folks who will see the photos here, you're not a weightlifter. And you had a bad back going in, and then you had a bad back after the accident. Yeah. So how do you survive in there?
Keep your mouth shut and stay to yourself, like legit, because there are so many opportunities for you to get into an argument if somebody is just having a bad day. Or I remember I was in the visiting room one time, and I was waiting to see one of my family members come in, and this girl is there, and she's like, turn the fuck around. And I'm like, didn't understand what she was, I'm like, I'm not going to turn around. Like, what do you mean? Turn the fuck around, I'll beat your ass. And she started walking towards me, and I'm like, dude, do whatever you want. I'm just going to fucking turn around. Right. Like, you don't know what is coming because you don't know who you're dealing with. All she wanted to do was flash her tits to her fucking boyfriend. I'm like, you should have fucking told me. You could have done that all day. Right. Shit.
You had immense fear because you've got a bunch of people bigger than you and probably tougher than you.
Oh, yeah.
In there. And then so you've got this fear, and then you've got this guilt. And then you've got, I mean, you have a panoply of emotions taking place. How did you in prison deal with the psychological aspects of everything that happened?
I stayed very busy. I will put it that way. Once I got out of Cook County Jail and I went to prison, it was, I think, in Lincoln, Illinois, and they had classes you could take. I took a business management course. I took a computer science course, and I took, because it was the last thing I could do, was it was like a house building whatever course. And I was like, okay, I'll just take these. So I went to class all day, and then I took a job at night at the gym. So I was able to walk freely from my, housing to the gym and then walk back when I was done anytime I wanted to. So I was able to get away from people by going to the gym. I wouldn't be stuck inside anywhere where I had to deal with the chaos. I wouldn't get in trouble. I'd stay to myself. I bought a TV. I watched it a lot. I went through a lot of depressive episodes during that. I fought my way through it. Didn't kill myself. So,
were you able to stay clean?
Oh yeah. I think the only thing I was tempted about was when they used to steal fruit from the kitchen. So they'd make those it was alcohol drink. You just let it sit there forever. I'm like, but it looked like shit.
The fermented fruit.
Yes. But no, there wasn't. There probably was drugs in there, but I didn't. I made sure I kept my nose clean.
When you realize that you have 30 days left, or you're hoping that you have 30 days left, how do you start that transition?
They made sure that you had a place to go to, and I luckily had my parents that were supportive through the process. You really learn who your friends are. I will put it that way. I had my best Navy girlfriends say, "Well, good luck, bye," and when you see your belongings being pieced apart by friends who wanted your clothes, and you just hear about it and you're like, God, I'm no one. I'm a number. I'm a fucking number again, in a way.
Yeah. And throughout all of this, there was no relationships.
No.
So you're on your own.
Yeah. I there was a lot of relationships in there. Trust me.
Right. I mean, but for you,
but not for me. No, I didn't have, I connected with a few people. Maggie was one of them that was in Cook County with me. Tasha, I was in prison with her for a while. She got out way prior to me. And that's the thing. You don't really want to have friends in prison because what's going to happen? They go, next thing you know, and you're not really going to stay in touch with them. I'm lucky that, me and Tasha still talk.
Mm-hmm. As you're transitioning, what path did you think you were going to take?
I was set. I had mentally prepared myself to imagine the person I wanted to be, and made sure that even if I made a mistake, I would get back up and mentally prepare myself hey, this is not what you were thinking when you were in prison and getting out. You know what I mean? Let's get back on track.
Mm-hmm. The new you.
The new you.
The new Bridget.
And you had to keep on reinforcing that because you have a lot more out there that you could get in trouble with really easily.
We're going to talk, as soon as we get back from this break, about how you ensured that you would not be one of those statistics.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. There's more with Bridget Lake. This episode of Bearing Scars is sponsored by DSP Safety and Promotional Products. They're your one-stop shop for all your industrial, safety, and promotional product needs. CEO Scott Sturgill says, give us a try and you'll be a customer for life. Find them online at durablesafety.com.
Scars, scars. Enjoy your scars.
So we're back with Bridget Lake. She's a professional. She's gone through so much in her life, and a lot of it, self-admitted, was self-inflicted. And she's had to rebuild herself after high school when she joined the Navy. She had to rebuild herself after the trauma of the Navy. She had to rebuild herself after the trauma of an incident which landed her in prison for 5 years. And then she had to rebuild herself after prison to become the Bridget Lake that we know today. Bridget, how did you transition out of prison into the professional world, and what was it that started guiding you?
A lot of it was mindset. I mean, I had worked on that so much when I was just in my rack and just being like, okay, this is who I want to be. And so when it came to getting out, I went back to finish college, still in the same area that I was before, which is scary because a lot of it to me is an environment. If you're in the same environment, that's why they tell you change people, places, and things. It's, can you make it through without going back to that? And that I used, when we're talking about the three things that I used to kind of get me through those. And I was kind of listing and talking about to myself, I'm like, it basically goes down to music, mantra, and mindset. Your
three resilience routines, because we talk to folks as before we interview them, we say, what are your three resilience routines, things that help get you through the hard times? And yours are?
So my immediate one is music. I listen to rap, punk, rock, like crazy shit that just is like angry at the world, or you are like T.I. is one of my favorite artists because he's got this song. It's called it's on Paper Trail. It's called No Matter What. And I don't relate to all the single parts of it as far as like what he's saying, but it's like, here I am, still I stand. And it's so powerful to be like, I've been through shit, but guess what? God takes us through things sometimes to get us back to where we need to be. And I'm going to keep fucking moving forward. And guess what? You're not going to stop me.
Yeah.
And I know that my mom had a really hard time with me because prison makes you hard. You don't realize you're hurting people's feelings. You say shit that is normal to you because you were in prison, but to other people, you're just being a meanie. Like, you're just saying the rudest shit. And I'm like, you're not going to fucking take me down. I said, I'm going to stay on this path. So you just, you keep to yourself. You are not going to make me start fucking drinking again, and it's wrong, but you don't know it's wrong because you have that, again, it's the mindset. It's the, where do I want to be? Who am I going to be? And you're not going to fucking stop me. And I promise you that. I will run railroad over you. I do not give a fuck. And that is the mentality that I had to have in order to make it myself, not to hurt my family, but to make it.
Did you talk to yourself the same way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So music is one. And by the way, the kind of music you mentioned and the artist that you mentioned, you've got beats per minute. The BPM in your music is adrenaline, adrenaline, adrenaline.
Yeah.
And there is no calm music in your life?
No.
No calm music in your life?
Back then, there wasn't. Back then, there definitely wasn't. I was on...
Go. You're letting the music is your new drug.
Not only that, I'd go to the clubs. Like, I would just go to the clubs constantly just because I needed to dance the aggression off and dance and dance and dance. Like, I couldn't stop.
Was there temptation at the clubs? Because, that's not always the cleanest environment, going to nightclubs. And how'd you deal with the temptation there?
I agree. I slipped some, definitely. I loved ecstasy at the time. And so I definitely had quite a lot of slips with that. Let's just put it that way. Which was why it was important when I graduated college to get out of that atmosphere. I needed to move because I'm fine now, but I knew too many places and I'm going to places that are not the smartest for me to go. Let's just be real.
Yeah, because that temptation had to be. And so your second thing is you've got the music. Your second thing?
Mindset. Still continuing that mindset. So this is one of the things that, I have to remind myself, I'm not in prison anymore. I'm also not a prisoner of war, which is what I level myself at. When I'm having a hard day, the number one thing, listen, I'm not a prisoner of war. Put yourself in that place. I only just went to prison. I wasn't a prisoner of war. That's even worse. That's no fun. So when I compare like that to say, shut the fuck up and have a good day.
Perspective.
Keep moving on. That perspective is definitely, being true and authentic to myself, which is difficult because you get veered off and you're not you anymore. You're like, you kind of, people just get attracted to different things throughout meeting people and everything. Keep poisonous people out of your life, definitely. And surround yourself with those that you aspire to be. This is all the kind of mindset that I was putting in myself. So I had to leave Chicago in that aspect too. I could never get a job. I'm the first thing that comes up on Google. People search that now. Mm-hmm. And that was when I graduated in 2009, I think. So I left January 10th, 2010, out the door. I'm like, I'm never going to complain about snow again. I'm so tired of this white shit. It's not going to ruin my day. Like, I'm going to move
You're talking
down.
about the snow, not okay. Yeah.
I'm literally going to go move to Florida. And I am going to be successful there because they won't know me. And that's what I had to do to have a career. And then I was waitressing some tables, ended up meeting this guy who was firing his marketing person. And I was like, oh, what do you guys do? And he did a wildlife removal company. And I was like, I'm going to steal this motherfucker's job. I'm like, just set in my head. I'm ready. Like, this is it. Hone in, make it happen.
And so you became the marketing director of a very odd company, which is a removal of invasive species like snakes and other things
and
in
rats.
people's and rats in people's houses. So, I mean, you had extracted yourself from a couple of bad situations, and now you're extracting rats and snakes and bugs from people's homes. Any fun stories about?
I always say that, well, I did have an experience where I was on TV with Larry the Cable Guy. So I have this web episode. It's like 5 minutes long. Larry versus the snake. Larry hates snakes. So he was not a very happy camper that day. But it was so, you realize how TV is. And, I moved that snake so many times to like angle it into Larry's direction.
Right.
I'm like, this snake is going to get pissed off and bite me, because I can only move it so many times before it escapes. So that was an interesting one. I thought that was, I don't know what it is. I appreciated work so much because what I didn't, I have a felony. I don't have to have a job. People could not hire me easily. And that's what they did back then. I didn't give a shit. Felony, done. Check the box, out. So I worked my ass off. Again, I was the biggest hustler in the company. I was the one that if they had a problem with the customer, they're going to send me to them because I'm going to be that kind person and figure out, hey, I'll work around your schedule. If you want me at your house at 6 a.m. in the morning, I'll be there. I'll do whatever it takes. So that experience brought me into networking, which I was networking with chambers of commerce. And that's how I ran into the Oviedo Winter Springs Chamber and Corey Skates. And he was like, we actually don't have a marketing person. I didn't know this until later, but there were two of us that he was picking between. And the reason I didn't hear back from him for so long, even though I called him and left him messages, is because he was trying to find the other girl a job so that he wouldn't have to say no to anyone. That's what kind of guy he is.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
In our life, there are people, they don't know about the impact that they've had on our life. This is the first professional job that you've had.
Yeah.
And Corey Skates, president of the chamber, gave you this opportunity. Did he know he was giving you this opportunity considering what you had in your past?
No, he had no idea.
Does he know the impact that he had on your life?
I tell him how great he is, but I don't think he knows because he doesn't really know this story. He still doesn't know.
Wow. How long did you work as the marketing person for the man that you may not know, but he actually helped to rescue you into your own sanity? How long did you work for Corey as the marketing person for that chamber?
It was around a year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe. And I was really upset that he left because he's such an inspirational leader. Again, I was around somebody who I wanted to be. Then you have, when I don't have that, it, kind of set me back a little. So I always felt like I was a good hub. I was a fundraiser basically in the chamber. So a lot of the money came from me. So I was like a golden child.
Corey leaves. There's a new president of the chamber who comes in. You're working for the new president of the chamber and still having pretty much the same success you were having because this is the brand new Bridget. This is Bridget version 3.0.
And I still appreciate, even today, this very day, I appreciate the shit out of having a job. Mm-hmm. I just do. Like, I want to be passionate about it, and I was, and it was amazing. And then in 2018, when the position for president came open again, I remember I talked to my husband about it. I said, it's scary because I have a background and nobody knows about it. Like, no one. I am constantly in angst about someone finding out. And from there, I interviewed, I got the position. And then it was the nervousness that came in, because now you're in a position that is a lot more, they take pictures of you and you're in magazines. People want to know who you are, and they get nosy. People are nosy.
It's a public facing position.
Yeah.
You're not kicking butt.
Yeah, there was a lot. I was really proud of what I did. I continued the work that I felt was important, and I focused on my energy on that stuff. I know that when 2020 hit, COVID, that was a tough year. And I made some decisions that, the board didn't even approve of all of it. And I just made the decision, and it happened when I did a press release about Taste of Oviedo being canceled. They're trying to reimagine it. And I'm like, you guys are fucking nuts.
And Taste of Oviedo is your big annual event, right?
Biggest fundraiser that we have. It's at Oviedo Mall. It's once a year. It was in March, I believe, and it was over 200 vendors. Like, you have a massive amount of people there, and these are small businesses. So when I sent out the press release, I let our businesses know that, yes, you can have a refund, or you can transfer it. Hopefully you'll transfer it to the next year. Mm-hmm. So the majority of them just transferred it, which then people were like, oh my God, you're going to lose so much money that year, and da-da-da. Like, I made it all happen. I'm a fundraiser. I am a professional beggar. Like, I will beg. You probably don't even want to be around me when I'm in the zone. It's like, Bridget's coming. Get out of the way.
Zip your pocket.
Yeah, zip your pocket.
Going in the wallet.
You better watch out. You better watch your wallets.
But you're not a professional beggar. You're a hustler.
Yeah.
Totally different, because you've had to do it your whole life.
Yeah.
But you hustled through that.
Yeah.
And the chamber continued to thrive.
We actually pivoted our Hobnob event and got the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals Award for communication, because we made it all web. Mm-hmm. So we altered it to online, and it was fun as hell. I mean, it was just fun. And
so the Hobnob event is the event where you've got politicians
yes.
coming in. There's a straw ballot. They're talking to the voters, the chamber members. And this is in the middle of, smack in the middle of COVID. And you made that a success.
With the help of Phil Capro. He was one of our board members. I asked for his help when I became president. Mm-hmm. He knew about my background.
Nobody knew.
No.
So in the community, nobody knew, but you still can't change the fact that you knew. And you're not
anxiety.
You're not trying to absolve yourself of the responsibility of what happened. You're just trying to move forward and understanding that when people make a mistake in life, mm-hmm. you can let it define you. You can let it end your forward momentum,
yep.
or you can say, this happened, it's terrible, but I'm going to keep hustling, keep moving forward, and try to make the world a better place for others. And when we come back, we're going to talk about what you're doing today to help make a world a better place for others.
Perfect.
This episode of Bearing Scars is sponsored by Capro Law, PA. With offices located in the heart of Central Florida in the city of Castleberry, attorney Phil Capro says they make it their business to help your business to succeed. They understand the nuances of real estate transactions, and they speak the language of corporate and business law. Let Capro Law's insights and experience guide you towards success. Learn more and visit them online at caprolaw.com. KAPROW law.com.
Enjoy your scars, scars, scars. Enjoy your scars.
Bridget Lake, what are you doing now? After 10 highly successful years, you get into the legal field, not as a lawyer, but you're staying in the marketing aspect of the legal field. What are you doing now, and how are you combining your success story with helping others to achieve their own American dream and their own success story?
Through Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses, FAVOB, I ran into a lawyer that helps. She's VA accredited, and she helps with veterans getting their disability. Well, believe it or not, I had been in front of VSOs, veteran service officers, literally in the VA that have declined and said, why do you think that you deserve any benefits after looking at your records? And I'm like, I thought these people were supposed to help me, but they didn't. So after being kind of pushed away twice, I went into the attorney's office and I basically broke down and just was at this like shame, hurt, just told her everything that happened and the repercussions and all of that and just the mental health aspect of it. So she goes, it sounds like you have a case. And so we ended up starting my case there. They immediately got me to 70%. And when I saw that and how much they helped me, and I was so grateful, they changed my life. I immediately sent my resume to them. I was like, I'm doing this. This is good. This is a perfect fit. How would I not want to help other veterans? Especially women who've dealt with military sexual trauma. That's like my niche, you know? Unfortunately, but yeah. Mental health, my niche.
You've had from her, from the lawyer that you spoke with, from Corey, from Phil, all these people help you.
Yeah.
And you rattled their names off because they're very important to you.
Yeah, they are.
And how are you now important to other veterans who are going through some mental health crisis?
I hand my phone number and my cell phone out to everyone. If they need a resource, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to get you the help that you need, whether that's pointing you in the direction of a nonprofit that does the work with mental health, or if you're looking for being a part of an American Legion or the Veterans Beer Club that they have here in Central Florida.
You're kind of going back to the core of, I was a veteran who needed help.
Oof.
How can I help veterans?
Yeah.
And so how are you doing that? How are you helping these veterans?
I am out. I'm accessible. I'm at events. I am hitting American Legions. I'm traveling all over the Florida area. Going to Miami in a couple weeks. Been to Georgia. I'm going to be hitting North Carolina soon and Texas next year.
And you're working with foundations that are helping people, veterans, to do that transition. Because you mentioned earlier there was no transition.
We absolutely work with transition. We work with entrepreneurs. We work with a lot of different connections and resources that I have. So I'm always looking for new ones and, accumulating them. My whole thing is I don't always, I don't push people to do what I want them to do. So I know a lot of veterans struggle with their VA disability. And that's specifically what our law firm does and our VA accredited attorneys do. But there's free resources out there too. Let me find you, the Camaraderie Foundation that helps with mental health. Let me find you McCormick's Foundation that helps with horses and equine therapy. Let me find you resources that you need. And it may take me a couple days, but I'll get back to you. And you have my cell, and you can reach out whenever you want.
And how do people get a hold of you now?
So there's BridgetLake.com. So that's BridgetLake.com. And that is the best way to get a hold of me.
Bridget, I almost forgot to ask you, what is your third resilience routine?
My mantra.
What's your mantra?
You never fail until you stop trying.
Stick around for the feature we call Scar Tissue.
Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Our veterans put everything on the line to protect our freedom. We may never be able to repay them for their sacrifice, but we can show them just how much we appreciate all they've done. Please visit www.volunteer.va.gov.
Enjoy your scars, scars, scars. Enjoy your scars.
and now, scar tissue. During today's program, Bridget became very emotional. And as you were listening, her tears were audible for all to hear. Her struggle, however, as we learned, was mostly handled alone. When she was in her Navy training, she was assaulted by another sailor, and she had to make a choice. And while she may have had friends and family to help her make a decision, in the end, she made the decision on her own. Later on, when she was stationed on a ship, she was sexually assaulted by a supervisor. She handled that all alone. When she got out of the Navy, Bridget started doing drugs alone. During her life's biggest tragedy in the aftermath, she handled it alone. In prison, she was, while surrounded by a bevy of other women, alone. After prison, when she rebuilt her life, her secret, her shame, she kept to herself because she was alone. But today, Bridget's not alone. With the support of her husband, John, and a community of friends who understand that your past does not have to define your future, Bridget is growing. And as our tagline states, she's doing it with grit, grace, and growth. Because now, Bridget is not alone. And if you're going through a similar struggle, please know that you are not alone. Bridget has proven that hustle may have been a lonely endeavor for her, but it doesn't have to be for you. Hopefully her story will help guide you to overcome any stigma that you may have. Bridget, like all of our guests on Bearing Scars, shares her story, so you know that you can make it, you can survive, and with hustle, you can thrive.